An island in New York is now under control of the feds. People die from bugs and infestation and malnourishment and abandonment, and people are dropping dead there all the time. Same thing in Rikers and more.
If you're an illegal alien, you get booked in Rikers Island, I don't care if it's for shoplifting. I want them. Let's surprise them on what we're coming to the table with and let them sue me. Bring it.
New York City loses control of one of their main prisons, Rikers Island. Basically, a facility everyone's heard about. Heard it in the movies, on the TV shows. It looks like this. An island in New York is now under control of the feds. And here's the backstory. So there was a scathing 77-page ruling that we'll hit the highlights on, courtesy of the Gateway Pundit, linking to that for us. Says the ruling was issued in a landmark case called Nunez versus City of New York. And it appoints this remediation manager called the Nunez manager to take over key safety and use of force functions at Rikers. Now, the decision comes after a lot of this, right? The city was held in contempt, 18 separate provisions, multiple court orders going all the way back to 2015. There's been a decade of oversight with a federal monitor. 9 years have passed. And so this judge is just furious, just basically had enough of it. And the opinion is pretty brutal. She explains what's going on there. And just to be clear, I know not a lot of people have a lot of empathy for prisoners or convicts or felons, and not a lot of empathy is out there for how they're treated in these facilities. But just to be clear, many people are not convicted of like death, for example. Like if you're in Fannie Willis's prison, to use a common example, people die from bugs and infestation and malnourishment and abandonment, and people are dropping dead there all the time. Same thing in Rikers and more. That's not the sentence. Okay, you might have a sentence of 5 years. It doesn't mean you can just die there. And we do have the Eighth Amendment, which was put in there for a very important reason, to protect the citizens against almost the tyranny of the majority that has a very aggressive approach to criminal punishment, because it is a double-edged sword. It goes both ways, right? We see what they did to the J6ers and the school parents and to the pro-lifers, and the list goes on. And they get abused and they get hit with penalties that they don't deserve. So we ask ourselves, what is happening here when the so-called liberal democratic organizations that run these cities, who preach to us about human empathy and understanding, allow their facilities to be the most disgusting, unconstitutional, illegal, inhumane, immoral facilities on the planet? Now, here's what this judge wrote. She says, look, I'm so sick of you guys in New York. In its opinion and order back from 2024, we held you in contempt for 18 provisions. And in that order, we indicated that we're going to impose receivership. We're going to take it away from you and take it into the court's hands if you don't remediate what we've asked you to do. Now, before the court, we've got two competing proposals. One from the government of New York and one from the United States. Okay, Southern District of New York is saying, New York City, you're disgusting. They want enhanced relief. The feds want to come in and take it over. Now, the court has reviewed everything. As explained below, the court will appoint an independent manager who's going to report directly to this court to cure all of New York's problems. And we expect this is all going to work in collaboration to get it done, because this is disgusting. She says this case arose in 2012. Individuals were claiming injuries based on excessive force, saying that the prison used excessive force against all these prisoners in many different ways, saying we're the victims, 25 sections, safety and well-being of all these people under attack. Now, the monitor, along with a bunch of people, have failed to take action. And they provided over 700 recommendations on which they should act. In its first 9 periodic reports, which includes subject matter experts and more, you were asked to file a supplement to tell us what you've done. And you did. Then there was a second remedial order. And what we have learned from the monitoring team is that things are actually worse, right? So we said, fix all this stuff. We put a monitor in place and things are worse. They say what's happening at the jails remains deeply disturbing. They scheduled an emergency hearing to update us on what the hell's going on over there. Then after that, there was still growing concerns, even 4 years after this, that we need to fix this and there are dangerous conditions in this facility. So the monitoring team then decided to shift its focus. What can we address first to make the most impact? Now, after the mayor of New York City and his administration, Mayor Adams, came in, they advised the jail was still unstable and unsafe, dysfunctional practices, grave concern, There's an urgent situation there. They had 15 meetings, there was a roadmap and more. There was significant input, and they tried to fix it. Then they came to this court and I hit them with contempt. There was non-compliance. They say there was 5 disturbing incidents where in-custody deaths and serious injuries had occurred, right? You don't go to prison, you're not generally sentenced to death. When you die, it's not good. The court responded by ordering defendants to provide a monitoring team with this. Why are people dropping dead in there? They put a manager in place to try to figure out what's going on. Now, the court said, despite your overall undertakings, you're not making enough progress. So the monitoring team came out with another assessment and created new reports, new interim measures. They were upset that the Department of Corrections was doing certain things. There was a department reduction team. A lot of this is just kind of tedious because it's explaining all the so-called attempts. It's like the bureaucracy is on display in this document. It makes you kind of go, oh gosh. Yeah, it's just, we'll write another report, write another report. Anybody get fired, or you're just kind of like moving papers around on a desk? So in November, around the same time, the department opened the ARHU. Plaintiffs in the United States, the government now, right, moved to hold them in civil contempt. They sought a lengthy extension. We need more time to do all of this, but they never did it, saying, now you're ultimately responding to the court. So what the United States says, we want to be in receivership of this. Under the receivership proposal, the receiver would have ultimate authority over the DOC functions and basically take over the facility. Now, New York urges the court to appoint some other compliance director, but the compliance director would report to Mayor Adams. And after all of this, we're not going to do that again. So for the reasons discussed, the court has fashioned a remedy to ameliorate their contempt by empowering a skilled outside professional to develop a plan. And they're going to be required to work with this person who's now going to be in charge. The manager is going to be granted broad powers similar to a receivership, and it's going to be broad enough, but not broader than necessary to fix these problems. That person shall have no other powers other than being the remediation manager, and they're going to have a bunch of powers. She lists them out here, right? Review, investigate, take disciplinary actions. So she's just like, wow, just like appointing somebody because Mayor Adams and Tisch can't figure it out. So how are they going to pick this person? By August 29, we want recommendations. So they're going to appoint somebody to come in. And folks, the judge wraps it up. For the foregoing reasons, as explained above, the court will appoint an independent remediation manager to do all of these things and start working on who you think this should be and why, and submit your recommendations to me soon. Signed by Laura Taylor Swain. So out of New York, and man, it's just a disgusting disaster. It's like people are dropping dead. People are being eaten by bed bugs. Now we've got a brand new facility that may have some room in it. And so Tom Homan says, I know what we can do with that.
Getting ICE officers back in Rikers is meaningful because we agree that, the worst of the worst, the firearms violations, the murders, the kidnappers, the rapists, will come to our attention, so release, we can grab them. But I've made it clear, I want everybody. If you're an illegal alien, you get booked in Rikers Island, I don't care if it's for shoplifting. I want them. So this is a start to deal with the worst of the worst in the beginning, but I made it clear that I plan on the whole of them. I want everybody. So we're going to work toward that. We agreed to some other things I'm not going to discuss on national TV because I don't want the city council to know what I'm doing. City council is fighting the mayor and everything. So let's surprise them on what we're coming to the table with and let them sue me. Bring it. Because I'm done. I'm not running a popularity contest. I came to New York to get meaningful action. We got a lot of words. The last meeting I had, today I came, I want action, I want a plan, and we're leaving with a partial plan, but I'll come back every week if I have to until we finish this plan. But it's a good first step to get back on Rikers Island. That's a game changer.
All right, we've got more room, and we've got plenty of people who need a place to go. So Tom Homan is on it, and Tisch, Mayor Adams, and the rest of them, their incompetency is so on display that now a judge is saying, we have to take this from you, and we will give it to other people who hopefully can actually run a facility in compliance with the law and the Constitution and human rights. You may not have a lot of empathy for people in these facilities, but their sentence is not to be eaten by bed bugs or to be murdered, and our government owes us all better than this gross incompetence in New York.